Lloyd. We're also live on LinkedIn, on X, on, I don't know if we're on Facebook, but we're live. How are you?
I am I'm wonderful. I love the snow. I love feeling like it's finally winter, and I like to know that people are burning lots of natural gas right now.
Well, welcome to your show, Why Wells Fail, Lloyd Brown. This is where we talk about many of the cool things going on in your industry and how you guys are leading it. And today our topic is process predicts performance. And so this comes from a many years of experience. Let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, the most important thing is, the old saying, what you measure, you can manage, right? And if let's just say that, you're going to Dillard's and you're going to buy a suit off the rack. And yeah.
Sears, Dillard's, okay.
Dillard's off the rack. And you're going to know your size, but it may fit you and it may not. Pants will probably be way too long. And for me, I used to have to buy a bigger jacket, and then the pants would swallow me up, and it never fit. But it was a suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to have a process it's just like going to the tailor and it's getting something bespoke for you. You don't have to take it and get it altered. When it's measured, it is measured to fit you and only you. And that's really what we do with a well. And the measurements, when you go to a tailor, it comes back and they still have to make sure it fits. When you use our bespoke process, we're going to measure in the laboratory and predict what it's going to do when we get into the field. And as we do that, the prediction, we have key performance indicators, both in the water and the hydrocarbon as it comes back, that are telling us were we successful or not in our prediction. Did what we made for this well, is it bespoke and does it fit that well? And if it doesn't, what do we do in the future to tailor it to get it better and better and better? And we've been in that process of continual improvement. And the industry as a whole, which I've been a part of a long time and have been guilty of this, I've waited for whenever a reservoir engineer would say, hey, we've met our peak type curve, and we're going to type curve this well and predict over time how much resource we're going to get out of it. And I'm going to give it to our financial folks, and they're going to put it on the balance sheet. And what we've learned is that was really a guess and a hope, because it was an arbitrary number of days. In so many days, we were doing it based on what was done in the past. In 2015, I was a big boy. And if you took a suit that I needed back then, I weighed 233 pounds, had right under a 40-inch waist. I wore a 46 blazer, and I'm not going to say what I've said about myself, but I was fat.
You're heavy.
And you take it to today, I wear a 44 blazer. I wear I have a 34-inch waist. I'm much more fit. But if you tried to put the suit on me from then to today, it'd look like I'm back in the 1980s wearing my parachute pants. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens in well performance is our industry is behind. And that's what our process patent proves, is we have the ability to meet what your well needs today, not the one that you drilled and completed even 2 years ago. We have that ability to give and continuing to make sure that the size fits better. I mean, we've owned the company. I guess it's 19, 20 months now. And what we've learned in the last 20 months is as much as we learned from 2013 till we bought the company back. And the rate of learning is, as like in all information, is gaining faster and faster and faster. And the reason we're able to do that is because we discovered a standard. And now we can measure to that standard or a constant in mathematics. And that's how you can do it. That's why process is predictable of performance. And our prediction metrics are getting better all the time. It's kind of like on watching the football games yesterday. And you have probability of winning. And as you get further down the game, that probability gets better and better. That's what we do with every well.
So when you bring these wells in and you put them in front of the mirror and measure them for this bespoke process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your process is predicts the performance. What does that look like? Walk us through that.
Well, number one is you start with the anatomy of the well, the geology. And, every well's got to be drilled and every well has drill cuttings. And so it starts with getting the drill cuttings, preferably along many of them, at least the number of samples along how many ever stages you're going to have in a well. So sometimes 55, sometimes 70, sometimes 30. But you want to have a good understanding of the complete well. You want to measure the shoulders and you want to measure the waist, right? You want to, and everything in between, to get that bespoke understanding of what that wellbore looks like and what we need to mitigate and manage to make sure that the completion program fits from the top to the bottom of the well, or in this case, from the heel to the toe. And so that's the first thing. Second thing is to understand and get a sample of the water that is going to be used to frack the well, and understand how it reacts with the geology, and then walk through our methods and our protocols that give us the predictive science that help us predict what type of quality of hydrocarbon this well has, B, what are the challenges to mitigate and to minimize to allow this well to produce the resource as it exists in the geology, making sure that we don't leave anything trapped behind, and then set the key performance metrics that we're going to measure when the well is fracked and it starts its process of flowing back those fluids along with the resource.
We've mentioned water a bunch of times in here and maybe discuss it a little bit, but it's a very important part of the process. And I'm assuming this is an appropriate conversation about the water quality, but talk about that.
Well, water, the first thing you learn in high school chemistry, or the first thing I learned was, professor brought in a glass of water and he said, "What is this?" And we all struggled and nobody got the right answer. And then he said, "It's a universal solvent." Water is the universal solvent for the elements of this earth, and is what brings things back from disruption to equilibrium. So we want to understand how the water reacts with the rock, and the water is a lot like our blood. It has certain chemistries about it. It has a way that it responds when it's fresh water, and there's a way that if it's produced recycled water, and if there's blends of it. And so you need to understand that chemistry just like you do the rock, because it helps you understand how you fit that fluid system. It's a key part of the fluid system that we have to size, because most of the time it's different for every well, especially in this world that we live in, where we're doing our best to recycle this very precious resource called water.
Wow. So dynamic equilibrium, part of the tension there is what kind of water and what it looks like going in, and then how that water looks like coming out. That's part of the tension in this story, no?
Oh, absolutely. And, um, if you ever had distilled water,
Hmm.
how's it taste?
Mm, not the best, but
It doesn't taste right. It's because it's got no minerals in it. And you've had a mouthful of seawater.
hmm
How's it taste?
yeah, I'd rather drink distilled water than seawater.
That's right, because it's got all of these different minerals in it. Well, the balance is of what we're fracking with is somewhere between the two. And it can be a combination of the two. And distilled water is the most corrosive of all waters. It has the ability to absorb CO2. Water loves to absorb CO2. And if you leave a glass of distilled water sitting on the table, it'll absorb CO2 in it, and it gets even more corrosive because there's nothing in there to buffer it. But as you add different minerals to that water, it's what is called a buffer, and it starts providing some buffering capacity. And there's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of reasons why it's really hard to take seawater and make it into drinking water, or like there's companies that are trying to take produced water and create agricultural quality water that you can irrigate with. And it's hard. And because the number one rule is water is the universal solvent. Well, if you understand that and you place that natural law into the law of disruption and the law of equilibrium, that's where the real science happens. And that is the key to being predictive of performance. And those are the things that we're continuing to learn every day in a continuous improvement process.
So when you say this is a predictive process, what you're predicting is if we establish this dynamic equilibrium, we're going to produce superior carbon capture, right? We're going to bring that.
Well, we're going to produce more of the resource that we're going after, hydrocarbon, natural gas, and crude oil. But we're also going to leave in place, we're not going to dissolute carbonate and make CO2. We're not going to dissolute pyrite and other sources of sulfur into hydrogen sulfide. And so keeping that stable in the geology as part of this dynamic equilibrium, we want to make sure that we have the mobility of the oil, of the hydrocarbon, but we're leaving CO2, H2S, the largest of the two acid gases that create greenhouse gases that we have to manage and mitigate if they're produced in the well. And by doing that, we actually create geological stability and allow the wells to produce more over time.
Significantly more.
Significantly more. And probably next week or the following week, I'm going to bring some show and tell with me. And this is a teaser, everybody. You need to watch next week. It's going to be a big week. We'll just bring it out there. We're going to be able to show the economic value and the impact of stabilizing the geology over time and what it looks like, and how, as an industry, we need to measure over a longer period of time that predicts the higher return on the resource that we provide. And it's irrefutable. Statistically, the number of samplings is very large, and the greater the N in statistics, the higher the probability of accuracy, correct?
Correct.
So
then that's why this is such a valuable patented process as well. So you're going to bring show and tell. You're going to bring a picture of you and your suit you were talking about.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to show the tailored well. This is all about the well, Steve. This isn't about me.
So if we,
I'm just the person blessed that gets to communicate what we're doing.
well, that's exciting what you're doing.
It is, but it's, it ultimately, Steve, is our job is to help our clients be more successful every day and get a greater return on their investment. And our company will be blessed by doing that. And so we're going to show how we help our customers become more predictable of performance and more valuable over time.
This is part of your protecting the reputation aspect of your culture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
So
it's the say-do ratio, right?
Say-do ratio?
The say-do ratio. If you say and you do, and that ratio is of what you say and what you do matches, that's the most important thing. That's called integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And integrity means so many different things, but it means firmness and structure, and it means stability, and it means high character. There's so many things that are tied within that, and again, that's why process matters. If you're going to have a high say-do ratio, if you're going to be predictable of performance, you have to have a process to do that, and it's measured by here's what we said and here's what we promised, or here's what we promised and here's what we performed. They've got to match up.
So your process, you mentioned bespoke. This means that no two wells are the same. This process that you follow on each well.
We do.
That's
in a perfect world, we do. Sometimes it's not perfect. And the good news is we can, if we don't have all the science on the well, we just understand its location, the target depth, and we can tie it back to the enormous database. We're going to pull a suit off the rack that's going to fit like it's bespoke. So it's both and, because that's how much data we have. But the preferred method is to do the science on every well.
All right, Lloyd. This has been an excellent conversation. Is there, before we go and open up your well tailoring shop, any last thing you want to cover?
Steve, I just, I'm grateful. It's amazing the number of folks on the multiple media platforms that are checking us out. And, I would love for feedback to come in if we're being redundant, or if we're not having clarity. I'd love to know about it. But ultimately I'm grateful by how many people are actually tuning in. Give my nephew Casey Burkhart a call out. He asked me at a wedding last weekend, "Hey, Lloyd, why do wells fail?" I didn't even know he was watching, and it was awesome. So Casey, if you hear this, you can I'm giving you a shout out.
That's awesome. That's the cool thing about these conversations. You never know who's listening. And then all these opportunities show up from unexpected places. Great conversations, great relationships. But if you weren't talking, no one would know who C. Lloyd Brown is. What is it? At Refine C.
LB.
Yep. C. Lloyd.
And Lloyd.Brown at refinecompletions.com. Or just hit us up at refinecompletions.com. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new website just about to roll out. We're really proud of. I've done a lot of work with Steve and his team. So excited for everybody to see that as well.
We're excited to go live, just like we're live here. We'll see everyone next week on another episode of Why Wells Fail. Good job, Lloyd. And that's a wrap.